32, your friends, family, and even strangers are always going to have this feeling that because you homeschool, it's like you making a statement that they're a bad parent. They are just projecting. Ignore it. It's actually been a little bit over 5 years since I've been homeschooling. I started off helping homeschool my middle school age nieces, and then I went on to homeschool my own daughter. So in this video, I am going to just be spitting out all of the homeschool advice I would recommend based on having homeschooled for 5+ years. I'm going to be saying these things and they are not in order of importance, so make sure you listen, stick around for all 50. Number 1, start before you're ready. It takes a few years to really get into the swing of things. You'll figure it out as you go along. Number 2, and I have to apologize for this one because at the beginning of 2020, I definitely posted in a Facebook group and I was like, why are these new homeschoolers just asking for all this advice on workbooks? They act like they just give their kid a workbook and that's homeschooling. That's not homeschooling. And I was sort of wrong about that because workbooks are a very valuable tool when homeschooling. They're not a curriculum, and I still stand by that, but they are such a great tool for just consistency and daily practice. Workbooks have saved me on so many homeschool reviews where they're like, can you please show us evidence of routine social studies or routine science? And I'm like, yes, here's the workbook. Here's like 15 pages out of our workbook. So much of my kids' learning is done through real world experiences that I don't often have like written examples if I did not have these workbooks. So while I still say that workbooks are not equal to like a full homeschool curriculum plan, workbooks are a valuable tool. Number 3, the best curriculum is the one that works for you. In my opinion, some of the best math curriculums are Beast Academy, Envision, Eureka Math, because they are academically solid. However, if you can't implement those programs, they become useless. Eureka Math is a lot of printing, and if printing is not your thing, then no matter how good that curriculum is, that's not the best one for you. So go with something that's good, but also works for you. Which leads me to number 4, if you don't like a particular curriculum, it's not going to work. You won't come off enthusiastic, your child will feel that, and then they're not going to do the work. So pick something that you also like and are enthused about, and not just one that someone on the internet like me tells you to use. Along those lines, number 5, the best type of homeschooling is the type that works for you and your family. A lot of people are like, do I do Waldorf? Do I do nature school? Do I do unschooling? Do I do classical learning? You can follow any of those. You can mix them up in between, but you have to do what works best for your family. And what most people will find is that they're going to be a mix of different homeschooling types. Number 6, being social with people outside of the home is important to kids. And if you don't consider that, you're going to have some unhappy kids. Number 7, there's a difference between socialization and making friends. Number 8, the best place to make friends is not necessarily the best place to socialize. There are tons of places for homeschool kids to interact with one another, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great place for them to make friends. Making friends requires seeing the same people routinely. Therefore, number 9, sports teams or academic teams are great ways for your child to make long-lasting friendships. Number 10, courses or lessons specific to homeschoolers is a great way to meet other homeschool families. 11, co-ops or pods are amazing and revolutionary. 12, co-ops can cost you time and money, but they are so worth it. You can make friends and you can share the load with other homeschool families. 13, because someone is a homeschooler does not mean that you will get along with them or you will be friends with them. Because 14, everyone homeschools for different reasons. 15, some people are only homeschooling for a season or a year, and so you got to be careful when choosing homeschooled friends for your children, because they may only be homeschooling because they're in some sort of transitional space, and then your child has taken all of this time and you have taken all of this time to form this friendship with this parent only to be told like, hey, we're not going to be homeschooling anymore. 16, it is important to have a village and share the load. 17, taking a village looks different for different people. I really want to do a deep dive video into this, so let me know in the comments if you guys want to hear more about building your village, because building a village could look like your mom babysitting for you. It can look like my dad paying for the kids' piano. It can look like your friends offering to do your kids' hair for free. All of those things matter, so use your village wisely. 18, homeschooling often happens in seasons. You're going to have times where you are uber productive and then times where you're just kind of chilling, and that is okay. 19, carve out time for yourself every day, even if it's just 30 minutes. 20, 2 hours of homeschooling every day consistently is more than enough time to get the whole curriculum in. 21, do not run yourself crazy with extracurricular activities. Those kids will be fine at home. 22, do not try to do school at home. Don't try to emulate the school environment at home. It's not going to work. 23, you do not need to have a big classroom or any sort of setup in order to teach. But 24, you should have some anchor charts and some staple pieces around to reinforce learning. 25, books are your friend. In my opinion, if you focus on just making sure your child can read, it makes homeschooling so much easier. Once they learn how to read, they can practically teach themselves. So I would personally say, focus on that early on. Because number 26, kids learn a lot on their own. If you provide an educational environment, it is almost impossible for kids to not learn something. And of course, you have to encourage curiosity. A big goal of education is really to teach kids how to learn and not necessarily about the content that you're teaching them. The content, of course, is important, but it's more important to teach a child how to love learning and how to access information that they want to know. 27, you can homeschool anywhere, in a van, in an apartment, in a house. But in my opinion, I found it's easiest to homeschool in a place where your child has the ability to also be outside. Because once the learning is done for the day, what is your child going to do all day? So just really consider where you are living. And it's okay if you are in a place like we are now in this season where they are stuck inside for many hours of the day. There are other things you can do. We go to the YMCA, we go to the park. For me, it's just easiest to homeschool in a place where kids can have the ability to be outside independently. 28, it takes some time to find your homeschool group or clique. So don't worry and don't be afraid to try out different groups and to even move across the country to find groups that are more in line with who you are. 29, make sure you know homeschooling law in your state and the surrounding states. The state and the county will try to make you do some ridiculous things that are not required by law. That's where you need to step in and be like, hey, I don't have to do that. 30, your family may be hesitant or against homeschooling at first. Whatever, they'll come around. Just ignore them and keep it moving. 31, people are constantly going to be testing your kids. That may come from family and it also comes from strangers. Just be prepared with a statement beforehand that you are ready to jump in with and support your kids. It could be, hey, it's not appropriate to test my kids. Or you could do it kind of jokingly, like, hey, before they answer that, why don't you recite the preamble? Be prepared and don't take it personally. 32, your friends, family, and even strangers are always going to have this feeling that because you homeschool, it's like you making a statement that they're a bad parent. They are just projecting. Ignore it. But also be sensitive to the fact that because you are homeschooling and doing amazing, wonderful things with your kids, and they're at work during the day or they're not homeschooling their kids, they may actually feel some kind of way about that. So consider their feelings. After a mass event is probably not a best time to say, oh, I'm so glad that's why I homeschool my kids to be so they're never in harm's way, because they may be feeling like, well, I can't homeschool my kids or I'm not homeschooling my kids. Does that mean that I'm bad? Just be aware, okay? 33, declutter often. Those books, manipulatives, toys, they start to build up very, very quickly. Get rid of those books, okay? You read the book, get rid of it. 34, don't buy anything unless you have a written plan on when you will use it and how. You don't want to be like us, having tons and tons of workbooks that have 3 pages done and having wasted money. Have a plan before you buy. 35, write out a schedule or plan for the year or the semester and check back in with it. This is just a best practice because you don't want to get to the end of the school year and realize you've only done 25% of the curriculum. 36, take pictures, okay? This is going to help you remember all the wonderful things that you did throughout the year so that when you get to the end of the year and you're feeling like, oh, did I do enough? All you have to do is look back in your camera roll and you'll say, yes, look at all the stuff these kids did this year. Because your kids will make you feel like they have never been out. They have never gone to any field trip. They have not learned anything the entire year. Then you'll be scrolling back like, wait a minute, we went to Korea this year. Yes, from my own experience. 37, outsource some classes, even if it's just one subject. I felt like because I was a self-contained elementary school teacher and I taught everything, I felt like, okay, well, as a homeschool mom, I'm just going to teach everything like I did in school. Woo-wee! Not while I'm trying to make money and run the household, okay? It is just so much easier to allow somebody else to teach some of the subjects, whether that is art or science. Outsource where you can. 38, write a budget. 39, stick to that budget. 40, get exercise. Even if it's you getting up in the morning and walking for 5 or 10 minutes in the brisk air, it's a stress reliever. Homeschooling can be stressful. Make sure you're getting exercise. 41, be a leader. If there is a resource that you want and you can't find it, or you're wishing there were a co-op in your area, start one, form it. This type of homeschooling in 2024 is totally different from homeschooling 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We have so much at our fingertips, and the field can only grow if you help it grow. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect at first. Just do it. 42, monetize what you're already doing. Sell or create resources that you are making anyway. You did a cool project, throw that up on Pinterest. Yes, Pinterest is a moneymaker. You developed some questions or you made some worksheets for a novel study. If you don't throw that up on Teachers Pay Teachers and make some money so that homeschooling can start to pay for itself. If you're looking for an easy way to get started, because I know that teachers and homeschool parents, you make so many resources up on your own. If you're looking for a way to get started easily, check out the sponsor of this video. With Kiddle, making personalized homeschool materials for your kids is easy. Kiddle is a platform that has many options. You can make presentations, you can create prints for t-shirts, mugs, and more. But I like to use Kiddle to quickly whip up worksheets. Sometimes all it takes is a little personalization and pizzazz to get children engaged in learning. And if you're making it anyway, why not share these resources with others? Make sure you check out Kiddle by clicking on the link in my description box and using my special promo code. 43, teach your children to be independent. They need to be making their breakfast, lunch, and/or dinner. They can take care of laundry. They can clean up their toys. They can have chores and help you around the house. And 44, make those tasks feel fun. You're giving your child a responsibility because they're growing older. You have to learn how to cook your own food. And kids love cooking. Kids also love cleaning. As long as it's not an overwhelming task for them, make it manageable and fun. They're going to love doing it. 45, give yourself grace. Sometimes your kids got to eat processed food. Sometimes you might be using paper plates, spoons, and bowls. Sometimes their hair is going to be all over the place. No one can do everything. If you look at any given parent, if you were really given a deep look inside their life, outside of what you see on social media, I guarantee you there's going to be part of their parenting that sucks. So give yourself grace. 46, if you believe you're not qualified to teach your child, just remember in the beginning, teachers aren't qualified to teach the children either. The first few years of a teacher's career is a hot mess. You are going to become a better teacher as you go on. Just always keep learning. 47, if you get behind, make a plan to catch up. 48, make sure your homeschool is child-led. Your kids will be much happier for it. A happy child creates a happy homeschool. 49, minimize their clothing. You don't need to be a minimalist, but the less laundry you do, the more time you have on your hands. Your kids, when they're at home, they're probably going to be wearing their pajamas half the time. They do not need a full closet of clothes as homeschoolers. Minimize that closet. Number 50, but then I have a couple more. Understand that homeschooling is hard for everyone. You are not the only one feeling how you're feeling. You're not the only one having a bad day or feeling inadequate. This is just temporary. Reach out to your village, join homeschool groups, express how you are feeling, because I guarantee other people are feeling the same way. That's the only way that you can grow, become better, and make this process a more relaxed, and wonderful time. Which brings me to 51, do not compare yourself to others. You really don't even know what others are doing. Like, you really don't even know what their homeschool's like. I really appreciate you guys coming up to me and telling me that you follow me and that I've inspired you. But sometimes I feel a little weird because people say like, oh, you're such a great mom, you do it all, you do this. And I'm like, I literally don't, okay? Don't let me flip this camera around so you can see those dishes in my kitchen. None of us truly have an inside look at the lives of other people. So just be happy and content with how you're doing things. Sure, you can take good things from them, but don't feel less than because of what you perceive another person is doing. That's it.